When is the last time you needed a cart to go get one of these? I needed one. That's how bad it got. I needed a third point of touch of some sort. We'll get more to that in a minute. But I wanted to give you an update on my last facial surgery, and it went well. I actually have more movement in the right side of my cheek than I ever have had ever. And it actually got that way quicker than I assumed it would get that way. And so there's rapid healing there. The stitches are gone. My leg, that's another problem. I got a big incision in my leg that took out 3 5-inch pieces of fascia out of my leg to stick into my cheek, and pulled my face off and put it back on, put the thing in there. We'll get into that in another video, but it's infected, it's swollen, and it's red, and it's a problem. But there's a battle on, but I'm going to win. My body's going to win on this. But I want to give you an update on my signs and symptoms from the last video. There are just so many. There are too many to actually even say. I wanted to put a few more out there because there are things that we go through. If you know somebody, anybody, family, maybe yourself, going through anything like this, any major issue, it may not be a tumor that's been growing for 40 years, but it's a serious issue. If I can help, I certainly want to. But I knew something was wrong, and I just ignored it. My body was telling me there's a silent passenger in my head the whole time, and I never knew it. But I would point, even 2 decades ago, I'd point to my head like this. I'd just tell Dana, I'm not sure how long I'll be here. I have no idea even why I said that. I didn't sense a tumor. I didn't sense a problem. But I guess maybe subconsciously I knew. I don't know. But there was one time Dana and I were in a grocery store line and just waiting our turn to get to the cashier. And there was a guy behind us, and he said, "Look at that guy's arms." Talking about me. And we kind of ignored it and didn't really respond. Anyway, we just went on my way, recognized it was me he was talking about. But probably less than a week later, just a few days later, Dana looked at me and said, "Where'd your arms go?" I mean, the tumor was eating all the protein in my body really, really quickly. I remember I got so weak, we couldn't do anything. And so, if you recall, we're used to going and doing. And we were sitting in back of the motorhome one day, in the back outside in the motorhome, in some chairs. And there was a privacy fence about 10 feet behind. And there was a green anole lizard just walking across the top of that fence. And that thing was just as comfortable as can be. And I'm looking at this guy thinking, you're only this big and your brain's even smaller. You know, this is a weird deal. And but he turned around on the fence, and I mean, think about that, an anole this big on a fence. That'd be like me walking across a foot wide something 1,000 feet in the air, out in the middle of nowhere. I mean, and feeling totally comfortable with it and turning around on it, and it was amazing. I'm thinking, how do they do that? How do they do that? How possibly can they do that? But I remember I would need to, like I mentioned, I'd have to have a cart at any store. I would, out in the parking lot, I would have to get a cart out there to hold on to push it, even if we're not going to buy anything, or maybe one item of some sort. It was small. But I needed that third point of balance. I needed that cart to be able to stand up and balance myself. And it's the same with indoors. Dana would hold me, or I needed to continually touch chairs or the couch or the bed, or rub on the wall, along the wall, touch the wall the whole time. I remember one time we were at a church service, and the church was set up such that there was a front section, there was a big wide aisleway, and then there was a rear section. And normally we sit up in the front section, but I was just, it took everything just to get me in the building. We sat on the back section, but in the front row. And when we stood up, all of a sudden I realized, oh, this was a mistake. There's nothing to hold on to. I had to walk back and let the calf of my leg touch on that chair, actually both calves, so I could feel that extra point of sensory balance to give my brain something to know what's going on. And I would walk like a penguin. I would have to bounce back and forth and walk like a penguin. I didn't have a normal gait anymore at all. One time we were down in the Valley of Texas. We like to go down there. It's beautiful, and we spend a lot of time. About two out of every 3 years we go down there. There is I'll call it a city park. It's not a city park. It's a private park, but it's within a city limits. And it's a town all around it. And in that area, it's just raw land. It's beautiful, of palm trees and cactus and ponds and trails, all kind of really neat park environment. But they have these, they're not hills, they're rolling mounds of sorts. And we have gone there for years. And I remember going there and I couldn't negotiate those mounds. I mean, there are little kids running across them. There's no problem. Older people, I couldn't do it. I remember we got in there one time and I had to sit down on the park bench. I was really wondering, how in the world am I going to get out of this place? And Dana was thinking the same thing too. She said, I'm going to have to get a couple of guys to help carry you out. I don't know how we're going to get out. I would sometimes fall onto people. I had that little bit of off balance of reaching, and it was just everything you can think of. But I remember even at that park thinking the same thing. How do they do that? I would watch these little kids just go back and forth, and I'm thinking, how do they do that? I wasn't afraid, or I wasn't scared, or I wasn't worried, or it wasn't any kind of a negative thought. It'd be like, I don't know, make something up here, skydiving and threading and crocheting while I'm on the way down and not thinking anything of the sort, and taking a basketball and bouncing around. I mean, the thought is not even there that anything like that could take place. It doesn't exist. It's not that it's bad, it just doesn't exist. I don't know how else to say that. One time Dana and I were at Clarno in John Day fossil beds, and it's beautiful out there. And we've been there a few times, but there was this one hike we wanted to go on, and it was rather lengthy and rather steep and really loose. But it was not paved, but it was a trail. It was a marked trail. And it took everything in the world just to get up that trail. And once we got up there and we took some pictures and enjoyed it. And remember, I had mentioned that Dana, when we would go down something like that, I would go in the front, Dana would get behind me and hold me, and I would be her Jake brake, like maybe you're hearing the one right now. But not this time. She looked at me, she said, I'm on my own, aren't I? And I said, yeah. She said, okay, well, get down however you can, and I'll get down however I can. We'll meet at the bottom. Even signing my name, I would go to sign my name, and my arm would end way off of not only the paper, but the whole table. My arm would just end up off of it. I have no idea how it got there. I mean, it's not like I felt it move. It would end up out there, and I had no idea it did. I don't know how it got there. Anyway, we were in the surgeon's office for the final time before the surgery. And Dr. Graham, he's on this rolling stool, like in so many doctors' offices. And he was in there, and Dana and Paul and I were in there, and I'm sitting in a chair, just barely able to move. And he's going through all the things that can go wrong with me, because surgery's coming up like next week. And he's going through all the things that could go wrong with me. And he said, you have about a 60% chance of living through the surgery. That's about it. You could be blind, you could be deaf, you could not be able to breathe, you might be on a ventilator the rest of your life, you might not be able to speak, you might not be able to digest, he is going through this, not walk, he's going through this incredibly lengthy, devastating spiel, telling us what to expect. And at one point, Dana looked at him and she said, can you tell us anything good? He looked straight at her and said, no. Okay, here we go. I wasn't concerned still, because I know God's got this thing. I don't wish a brain tumor, like I've mentioned, on anybody. But if you know anybody going through anything, it doesn't have to be a tumor that's been growing 40 years or more. It can be just anything, financial, home, family, kids. I would encourage you, please share, like, comment, do all that stuff for this video. Send this video to them and share it, because if I can help anybody, I certainly want to. And if somebody's going through something, it doesn't matter what it is. It does not matter how minuscule you might think it is. You seem, oh, silly, get over it. I'm not trying to belittle anybody, but I'm saying it doesn't matter what we feel about something. To that person, it's a big giant mountain, and it means something to them. Even if you don't think that problem is big, to them, it's big. In the next video, I'm going to get into the actual surgeries and the aftermath and how that went. And it is a fascinating journey, to say the least, but got through it. Here we are. Thank the Lord, here we are. So I want to encourage everybody, keep your chin up. You can do it too.